We get asked often, what does it take to become a client? How do I register? We'll open a new tab and visit from Google. Type in, if you will, PrimeCap. Award-winning currency services. Please do feel free to click and you'll be thrown through to our home page. Just a very brief explanation. The Exchange Currency tab takes you through to our client login. Now in effect, that is where you would access our online platform. Transaction Services gives you an overview of the services we provide, the work we do for our clients and our partners, transacting online, buying over the telephone, etc. And Currency Resources takes you through again to our data center. Now, I'm going to come down to the bottom, the footer of the home page, and you'll find this at the footer of every page on our website. We have register as a client. We also have client login, which is much the same as currency exchange. It means you can access our online platform wherever you are on our site, and contact us, which gives you the relevant contact details as you'd expect. Please click on register as a client. When you do, you will be met with a pop-up box. Very simply, this asks you to confirm essentially where you live. There are certain regulatory differences that we need to adhere to for residents of the United Kingdom and EU member states, and indeed residents of the United States, for instance. So, if you live in the United Kingdom, we ask you very simply to proceed, in inverted commas. If not, if you live elsewhere, then we invite you to access our sister site, the ResiPay centralised payment platform. And we'll always distinguish the two, and we'll explain to you which one we would prefer you to visit over the telephone when we speak with you. A quick distinction. If you're registering as a private client, then we will have advised you of this. It'll be relatively clear because the account that you are using, the account that you are sending or receiving money to or from, will be in your own name. Corporate clients are obviously businesses that make and receive international payments or repatriate revenue from bases overseas. We will have advised you to click and register as a corporate client if that is appropriate. So to begin, as a private client, we continue. We will ask you to put in all of the relevant information here, identified, first name, last name, date of birth, email address. Please ensure that this is your primary personal email address. If, like me, you have your work inbox in your mobile device, for instance, and you find that you are particularly accessible on your work mobile, then by all means put that in. This is what we will use to send you deal confirmations, payment receipts, any sort of default communications. We then ask, once this is filled in, for you to click continue, and it will take you through to the signatory identification. Now, you're an individual registering us. Therefore, you are, in this instance, the signatory. We do permit private clients to open joint accounts, so with a spouse or a partner. If you click yes to this being a joint account, you will have to submit exactly the same detail for the secondary account holder. Now, when we verify you for the purposes of registration, we are essentially putting your details, your information, identity and address into an electronic system. And that electronic system will establish the authenticity of the information you have provided. It uses metrics like whether or not you are on the electoral roll, if you are a UK resident, do you have a bank, are you in arrears. It doesn't do credit checks. We're not interested in your credit score, but it essentially aims to establish an electronic footprint. In the registration process, we ask you to provide us with some information that helps increase or improve the strength of the score that comes back from that electronic check. So if you view it as a sort of a range 1 to 10 and 6, scoring 6 maybe because you're on an electoral roll or you've lived at your property for 4 years or whatever it might be, we don't need any additional information if you score a 6. However, if you score a 3, we may ask you to provide us evidence of the information that you have submitted through this form. And putting in something like a passport or driver's license enables us to bump up that score, that electronic score. So it takes what would otherwise have been a 3 to a 6, potentially. One of the key points to note with regards to the documents that or the information that we ask you to put in, is you're not uploading a document at this stage. We ask you to put in for a passport something called the MRZ number. You'll see that referenced here in the Residents of the EU and the rest of the world. Now, the MRZ number is visible on the photo page of your passport. It is mirrored in the boxes you see in front of you right now that I'm hovering over. All of the characters referenced here, even the chevrons, need to go into and correspond with the various boxes on this page. So, unfortunately, you need to be precise. Many people think that a chevron is equivalent to a blank space. That is not so. If you want to upload a different ID document, then we are amenable to that. An authorised party is not the same as a signatory. So the signatory has control over the bank account that you're sending and receiving money to or from. An authorised party can be someone that you maybe want assistance from. It can be your solicitor, your accountant. Generally, when buying property, it's very useful to have a third party accessing or copied into communications relating to a transaction. So a conveyancing solicitor receiving your transaction receipt with us in real time is very helpful to the process. A user does not have the same authority, as it were, as a signatory. You add users in a very simple fashion. We ask for limited information because, again, they don't have the same authority per se. We then move on to purpose of the transaction, one of the key areas of our registration process. We ask you what services you require from us. Now, of course, we will have discussed all of this over the telephone anyway, but if you are buying a foreign currency, it means that you are selling pounds sterling. You're giving us sterling in exchange for the currency that we provide you. You are buying a foreign currency. If you hold a foreign currency like US dollars or euros or whatever it may be, then you are in effect selling that currency in exchange for the pound. Both means you want to do both. So you may live in Dublin, you may be paid by your employer in sterling, but you may have other interests, property interests in the US. Therefore, you're buying and selling currencies, so you would pick both. The currencies that you typically buy and sell between are hopefully easy to recall. You do not need a currency account in the currencies you work with, and we will advise you of the particular currencies that are relevant to your matter. We ask you about frequency of payment, again, because it gives us a reasonable template as to, or an understanding as to what you want to use us for. So if you deviate materially from the outline you have given us, if your activity moves from being an annual one-off payment to being weekly, we may ask you to sort of explain why, effectively, because it's not in keeping with the information you have provided to us. Estimated annual volume, well, anything below the £1 million mark, it could be £100 being sent overseas for your French mortgage. This tends to be for private clients. Unless they are purchasing or selling real estate or high-value assets, it tends to be below the 1 million mark. Again, property, please be as sort of specific as you can with regards to the amounts that you may be looking to exchange. We aren't going to hold you to these figures, but if anything changes, we may ask just for clarification from you. The reason for the exchange be as specific as you would like. Selling a property, repatriating revenue from overseas, liquidating your pension pot, selling shares in a current company abroad. Again, we're not going to hold you to this, and we will have discussed this with you verbally over the telephone prior to your application. Continue. Where did you hear about us? Now, we find this to be one of the, personally and internally, we find this to be one of the most useful boxes because we work by referral only. Now, this means you're very, very unlikely to stumble across us through a random Google search for currency services. So bespoke and tailored is our offering that we can't really come up with generic search terms. Therefore, we align ourselves with businesses and partners who refer customers to us. Where did you hear about us? Could be something as simple as from your IFA. It could be a personal referral, which may be from an existing client of ours, or a business referral, maybe from a search agent. Have you spoken with one of our team? Now, If you can't remember the name of the individual that you spoke with at PrimeCap, then fear not. Maybe just put yes in that box. If you would like to subscribe to our daily market update, then you are very welcome so to do, or indeed our weekly market update. We will not sign you up by default. It is an opt-in. Then click through to continue. It is worth noting that for our UK and EU located clients, we buy our currency from a wholesaler that does not do direct sales to retail customers. Now that institution, that authorized payment institution, is Ebury. It's a company called Ebury Partners Limited. They sell us currency at wholesale. We then mark it up for you and provide guidance as to best contract and execution of your transaction. So in these terms and conditions, you'll see Ebury referenced as the source of the currency that we procure for you. Once you have clicked the appropriate box and you've agreed, you click submit. Now this is going to give me all manner of red boxes because every element here has not been provided. If for any reason you wish to sort of suspend or stop, put a pin in your application, you can save it for later, so you can come back to it. Clicking the Save for Later button means that the session has ended, and we will provide you with the means of emailing yourself this form. So you can send yourself an email reminder with the specific reference to come back to this form in due course. Equally, if you are a third-party advisor, a solicitor, a buying agent, an IFA, and you are filling this form out on behalf of your client, you can send this form to your client for them to complete the terms and conditions element. You simply click Share Form. It's a very clever feature for third parties. Once this document is submitted, we will send you an email asking you to verify your submission. Essentially, it's an email verification in which is contained a link that tells us that the email you have provided is the correct one. Anywhere between 24 to 48 hours later, we contact you to say you are registered. In instances where time is of the essence, we will be in touch with you before then to confirm that you are all set up and ready to go. At any time, you are welcome to give us a call, and you're obviously able to access all of the live featured resources on things like our data center. For any more detail on use of the data center and the information that it contains, again, we ask you to give us a ring on 0203 417 5781. Thank you for your kind attention.